Welcome back, fantasy baseball players, Endgame community. We are back here for our Wednesday stream, our Wednesday chat to help you out. Hopefully, your team is off to a good start this week, and your team might be off to a even better start if you've been stashing a pitcher by the name of Paul Skenes, because it looks like finally, after I feel like we get the questions every week, he's coming. He's pitching. He's going to pitch on Saturday against the Cubs. So Pierre, I'm pretty sure if for some reason he's still out there, which I think he's rostered in about 76% of Yahoo leagues, but if he's still out there, is he like a must add? Grab your phone, go grab him right now. And if so, if you've got him, are you starting him right away, or are you taking a wait and see approach here? How are you feeling?
Well, that's actually a really good question because, all right. So first of all, let's get the first thing out of the way. Yes, and he is understandably not 100% owned because he's been in the minors until now. And look, there are some leagues, some people play in really shallow leagues, 8-team leagues. Like, I get it, even in the shallowest leagues, this is a guy you have to pick up, right? Because not only is he the number one prospect, we've seen plenty of number one prospects not look very good when they first get the call, right? Especially pitchers. It happens. Plenty of pitching prospects fall flat in their face. But he is by far the number one prospect. He's one of the better pitching prospects we've seen over the last couple of years, okay? But also, he's making AAA batters just look silly, just stupid. It's so obvious that it's way above, he's way above their level at this point. The majors, it doesn't seem like it'll be that big a jump for him. Now, that said, of course, things change. I mean, he's only been at the AAA level for over a month, right? So we can't get too carried away, but still, it is worth the chance. Absolutely. If he's for some reason available, which apparently he is still in a fourth of all leagues, at least in Yahoo, and might be even more so in some other ESPN leagues like that, just grab him, right? Just go out and do it. And now, I've said this a lot with rookie pitchers. You don't have to start him just because you pick him up, right? It's possible to just actually put him on your bench and say, oh, let's see if he actually is ready. Remember what happened with Jack Leiter? Yeah, you are glad if you didn't have him in your lineup. And look, I'm big on Jack Leiter. I'm still big on Jack Leiter, but that's a different story. But Paul Skenes, again, this is just such an obvious top prospect. He is already, just mowing down batter after batter he sees. He's been so dominant. And look, I would just say this, based on the success of Jared Jones this year, who was nowhere like near that level of prospect, yes, a good pitching prospect, but not Paul Skenes level where everybody was just waiting for this moment. That is actually encouraging because it's been a while. It's been a minute since the Pirates actually had some good young pitchers that they developed themselves. And now they might have two of the best. They probably have the two best rookie pitchers at the same time, which is weird.
Are we going to see the Pirates in the playoffs? Is this actually
a
potential?
The only problem with that is you actually need to score runs too, besides just preventing runs. So, yeah, I mean, if somehow this fires up their offense, we'll see. Right now they're 26th, I think, in runs scored. And that's pretty close to the bottom. And there's some bad offenses so far. So, man, they start out the first week, it's like last year, the first week, everyone's like, hey, the Pirates, like, this is their year. And then they became the Pirates again. And for like a week and a half, we were like, hey, maybe this Pirates team, no. And then now they're back to being Pirates. They're just ice cold. They're like the worst offense of the past week, I believe. So anyways, we'll see what happens there.
All right. Well, speaking of Skenes, you did talk about how you would treat him this weekend, saying like, okay, don't have to start him necessarily first MLB start. Let's look a little more long-term, meaning the rest of the year. So good question here. What legitimately is his ceiling in fantasy and as a pitcher this year?
That's exactly what we're thinking about. What is his potential? We got to be realistic, right? We all get starry-eyed when we see these top prospects and, reality hits. But just, again, how dominant he's been at AAA, how dominant he was in college, how dominant he's been at every stop. A lot of times we're a little scared of these fast movers. Like, well, we don't really know because we haven't seen what they can do. Like, but often the guys who move up the quickest, it's because they make it look easy and they don't need that time. And so you should be more encouraged by the fact that he hasn't needed to pitch at AA for a year and then at AAA. I mean, he's ready. A team doesn't bring up a pitcher this young unless they feel like he's ready. It's pretty obvious he's ready if you look at his stats, which again are almost like borderline ludicrous. I know it's only been, I think, 7 starts. Well, let me see. 0.99 ERA, 0.91 WHIP, and 45 strikeouts in 27 innings. It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good. So I feel like fantasy ceiling this year, look, the wins, I cannot guarantee anything. I mean, it's Pittsburgh. So let's just throw wins out of the equation here, right? Let's not think we're going to get too many wins, but he really could be one of the top strikeout artists in the game. I think ERA, let's be realistic. His ceiling, I'm not going to say he's posting a sub-3 ERA as a rookie. He'll get hit hard at some point, some occasion. He'll have some bad outings. So I think we could see a low 3 ERA. I could see a whip close to 1. So again, rookie of the year, sure, why not? Cy Young, I think it's a little premature. Maybe that's just me being a little overly cautious.
All right, so yeah, it sounds like if you got Skenes, you should be feeling very good about the prospects, your pitching prospects going forward. Unfortunately, I do not have Skenes. You have, how many leagues do you have Skenes in? Any?
I don't have Skenes this year. No, actually, I've got some other prospects. I wasn't able to grab him. Again, this is the curse of playing in the leagues I play in. I'm not able to get all the top pitchers. I have Jared Jones I had in a couple of leagues, but yeah, no Skenes for me.
All right, well, me neither, but hopefully some of you do, and you can bask in the glory when he comes up here, and hopefully we've seen some mixed bags with rookies, right? We've seen some rookies come in and be great right away, and we've seen some rookies come in and yeah, not last in the majors. So hopefully he'll be one who lasts and does well. All right, well, let's get to some questions here. But first, got to remind you, as always, if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy, there's still time. There's always time because Underdog Fantasy has stuff going on year-round. Right now, of course, MLB picks going on. There's still games tonight. You got Arizona Cincy, Baltimore Washington, White Sox Tampa Bay. Lots of, look at this, all these games tonight. You can make picks on all sorts of players here. It's a ton of fun. Actually, that game just started, but there's still plenty more games here. It's a ton of fun. Not to mention, if you play others, if you like other sports, they have PGA as well. I think they have a special right now for PGA as well. So if you're a new customer, I think you get like a free PGA pick. So even if you don't know who the guys are, you get a free pick. It's an easy win. They got NHL, NBA, everything. And of course, if you also play fantasy football, they have drafts going on right now. The Eliminator, Best Ball Mania. Oh, the first puppy has launched. Nice $5 one there. That's very nice for those of you who don't want to go into the big tournament. So tons of great stuff on Underdog Fantasy. And they do it year-round, all the sports. They do baseball every day. No reason not to try it out if it's legal in your state, because if you sign up right now and you use promo code Endgame, not only are they going to give you a special pick, basically a free pick, they're going to give you a $250 up to $250 in bonus cash. So yeah, that little scroller down there is kind of outdated. We need to update it, but it's now a special pick plus $250 in bonus cash. So no reason not to try it out if it's legal in your state. It's a ton of fun. It's super easy. Yeah, and check it out. And now let's get to the questions. And of course, as we always do, we will answer as many as we can. It's been good lately. We get a lot of questions. So if we need to, speaking of fantasy football drafts, we do have a fantasy football draft after this. We need to attend a mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to make sure your question gets answered, or you just want to jump everybody and you don't want to sit around and wait, you just want to type in your question and us immediately answer it, or you just want to say thanks for the hard work, you can drop a super chat of any amount, and that will jump you to the front of the line, and we guarantee we will answer it. Not a necessity. We understand inflation. Not everybody can afford a super chat these days. But if you can and you want to, that is an option. All right. Let's get to the questions. And Steve Anders. Closers blowing saves right and left this year. I'll say I got a save today, but I think Joel Romano gave up a run to get that save. So he didn't do my ERA or whips any favor, but I got a save. Finally. It's been like 10 days since I got a save and I have 3 closers on my roster. What's going on with the closers this year?
Yeah, I know. It feels like it's more than usual. I think this is just every year this always happens, right? There's closers. There's a third of the teams don't have one guy you can point to and say that's their guy, right? It's going to change like week to week, month to month. So I think that's just how it is these days. But it does feel like this past week there was a few extra blown saves. Guys who had been even reliable. Like I know I have James MacArthur in a couple of leagues. I drafted him. I thought I was brilliant for having him. And then now all of a sudden his numbers went from pretty to ugly in a couple of days. So it's just the nature of the position. That's just how it is. That's why I will say, look, I used to always say, I'm not drafting a closer early because there's so much turnover, right? You're just like, I can wait. I will just go ahead and pick up somebody off the waiver wire. And then you regret that your closer is a guy you picked up off the waiver wire because he was on the waiver wire for a reason. So I'm like, it's kind of like with running back in fantasy football. It's like, yeah, you don't want to just go too heavy before the season because there's turnover, but you want at least one guy that you just like set and forget. Like, okay, I got him now. For the rest of my second and third option, I can play the waiver wire or whatever. But you want at least one guy that you can just say like, all right, I'm good. So I did advocate for take at least one reliable closer early-ish. Yeah, because everybody else, it's just like, musical chairs.
Yeah, it just feels like so. Because obviously a closer is so much at the mercy of their team. Because, I have Alexis Diaz, Joel Romano, and I think Kevin Ginkel is still technically the closer in Arizona. I'm not sure, but
not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, I can drop him.
Yeah, well, because Sewell just came back, I think yesterday, maybe.
Okay, but he was the closer last week. So
he was last week.
But the problem is if they get blown out, they're losing, or they blow the other team out. The closer doesn't do anything. Or if he comes like every now and then, like Alexis Diaz, it'll be like they'll be up 7-3, or they'll be losing 3-7. He'll come in the ninth just, I guess, to stay fresh. I don't know what the reason is, but it's like there's so much at the mercy of their team because the team has to be winning and it has to be close enough, right?
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. But also it's different than it used to be. It used to be that where you have, okay, here's my closer. That guy only pitches in a safe situation or the ninth inning. And now they're like, oh, high leverage situations. Like he's our best reliever. Let's put him in. This is the eighth inning. This is real tight. Let's bring him in the eighth. And then some random guy gets the save in the ninth inning. It's just, that's a different mindset.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good question from Teddy. So we talked about Paul Skenes. Now that he's been called up, who is the next best prospect that we're waiting for? Is it for Jackson Holiday to get recalled up, or is there somebody else?
Well, actually, Teddy, I don't know if you mean just pitching prospect or prospect in general. I mean, technically, yes, Holiday is the best prospect out there still. We'll see how that works. I'll just say for pitchers, if you're looking for another guy to come up that might make a difference, I did talk on Beat the Breakout, which again, if you all don't already know, which I'm assuming if you're on here, you guys are regulars, you already know, but on Beat the Breakout, try to identify the guys who are going to make a difference before they do. I talked about Skenes a month ago, because if you didn't grab him a month ago, then it was too late anyways. I talked about Jackson Jobe. I don't know if he's real close to getting the call because they're going to really be careful with his innings and stretch him out for a while. But man, when Jackson Jobe comes up, he's the one I'm going to want. I don't know for sure if we'll see Jacob Mizorowski before even August. I hope so, but he's the one I think has the highest ceiling as far as pitchers also. I like him a lot. But we shall see. And then Cade Horton, maybe we'll get a shot with the Cubs. So those are the pitchers I like. As far as hitters, It depends kind of what you're looking for as far as, kind of production here. Jackson Holiday, yes. Kobe Mayo, another Oriole. Just talked about him. I think he could be next. I do like Brooks Lee in Minnesota. I thought he might be getting called soon, but he hasn't yet. But those are the guys I have kind of at the forefront of my mind. But look, if I think somebody's imminent getting the call, soon, maybe a week or two out, I will talk about him on that series.
Yeah, so that's a good segue here for Kauhu. I apologize. I'm sure that was wrong. But yeah, predictions on who comes up next. Pierre actually talks about this every week in the Beat the Breakout videos. So if you head over to I guess you're on the channel technically, but after the stream, if you head over to the videos, the pre-recorded videos, you can see who he thinks has a chance to come up maybe this week or even maybe, very soon that you should have your eye on the waiver wire. So you can go check that out. All right, Glitchmaster AJ Rock. I like the way he thinks here. He's got Skenes. He knows there's serious Skenes hype right now. He knows Corbin Carroll has been bad. Is this a trade you make? If you have Skenes and somebody, he's saying should he offer this, but let's just say hypothetically, Skenes or Carroll, who are you taking? And do you think the Carroll owner would be willing to do it for Skenes because of the hype and because Carroll has been off to a bad start?
I definitely think a Corbin Carroll owner is frustrated, and everybody is now sipping the Kool-Aid. The Paul Skenes hype is going to last for another 4 days till he actually pitches.
Right.
Isn't this the best time to sell high on a guy before he's even played and everybody is in love with him, right? He can do no wrong until Saturday. And then I guess technically if he goes out there and he's amazing, then I guess it'll be even better. But still. Okay, so think about this. Like, Chris, if I told you I could offer you a month into the season a rookie pitcher who has yet to pitch in the major league level for the consensus, maybe number 3, 4, at least top 5 draft pick. It kind of, when you put it that way, it sounds like a no-brainer, doesn't it?
Right. It does sound like a no-brainer, but at what point do we? Because Corbin Carroll right now hitting 211. Does he have a homer? He's got 2 home runs, 12 RBIs, 15 runs, 8 steals. It feels very not like a top 5 pick.
No, which is the only reason you can even say like this kind of offer is realistic, right? Like you're like, come on, get out of here. But you look at Corbin Carroll, like, man, disappointing. But again, do we think that this is what Corbin Carroll really is, and that last year was, a fluke, or there's something going on in Corbin Carroll, that he's not going to turn around? I don't think. I know it's going to be a point to the shoulder, and it's possible, maybe, but like even if he doesn't hit for power like he did last year, he's still going to be one of the leading base stealers in the league. He still should hit for average. He'll still score a ton of runs. And I will say if there is a buy low window in Corbin Carroll, which I haven't said there is yet officially, I think there might be soon. But just in May, just been about a week, he's hitting 316, and he has 7 RBIs. He had 5 RBIs in all of April, and now all of a sudden we're picking it up a little bit. So we're seeing signs. I would do this. I would take Corbin Carroll. Look, it's going to take a longer time for me to say, like, no, Julio Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, all these studs, be like, nah, it's just not happening for them. Sorry, I'm not moving completely off of my, preseason view, and not just mine, but basically everybody who plays fantasy baseball preseason view that these guys are fantasy studs, first round picks after 1 month. So I would say offer this straight up and see what he says.
Yeah. Might as well offer it. Never hurts to try. All right, it's Uncle Maxie. What's up, Uncle Maxie? What should he do with Gleyber Torres?
Another player who's been very disappointing. Not a first-round pick, not necessarily a fantasy stud, but he should be better. But I think we can say that about like half the Yankees lineup. So I would rather keep and just bench and kind of stash for now. He's a player I really don't want to drop unless I'm in a shallow league. Like if you're in a 10-team, 8-team league, okay, fine. But if you can afford to just keep him benched, I think you can just keep him benched.
All right. Captain Tricky. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you are as well. What should it do with Matt Olson? Makes more sense. He's a Braves fan. He knows that a power outburst is about to come out. So what do you do? What do you do with a guy like this? Do you keep him in your lineup because you don't want to miss the 3 home run game, and risk the 0 for 4s or whatever, the 1 for 5s, or do you bench him until you see something?
Tricky. I think you kind of answered your own question. Well, first of all, you're a Braves fan. I'm surprised you're even asking. I mean, Braves fans are pretty hardcore, but yeah, Olsen, you already know it. The outburst is going to come, and I just talked about Olsen on the Panic video this week, 2 days ago, I think it came out. He's actually hitting the ball, believe it or not, he's actually hitting the ball really well, just not for base hits. But his hard hit, his barrel hit, everything is good. I mean, you look at the StatCast, it's all red, which, again, that's good in StatCast terms. Corbin Carroll is not. Corbin Carroll is a lot of blue. Like, he's just not hitting the ball well. But Matt Olson is. He's just not having good outcomes. Matt Olson is due for a power outburst. He's due to turn things around. So I just keep him in my lineup because already you've probably seen the worst of what he's going to do this season.
All right, there you go. Keep him in there. Plus, you're a Braves fan. I mean, come on. What do you can't bet.
Yeah.
You can't bet, man. Olson. All right, Steve Andrews, Braxton Garrett, Christian Scott, Josh Means. Apparently, they're all available. Which one do you prefer?
Man, Christian Scott was the rookie pitcher getting all the hype until now. Everyone's going to forget about him. Here's the thing with Christian Scott is I didn't talk a lot about him as far as getting picked up. I did talk about a couple of weeks ago, Beat the Breakout, said look for him to get called up. But I'm not making a big push. A lot of people bid a lot of fab to get him this past weekend. And I didn't put any bid on it because I am worried this is going to be a wasted waiver move, that he's going to make a start or two and get sent back down. Because they have a lot of pitchers who've been on the IL that are ready to come back. Tyler McGill, we just saw, is rehabbing, had a good start. He's probably set to come back. Will he take the rotation spot? It's possible. It's very possible. And, that could be really aggravating, but it's possible. And then they have other guys. Senga, it's going to take longer, but he'll be back eventually. Peterson is also coming back. They have a lot of arms who are going to come back. So, Braxton Garrett will be in that rotation until he gets hurt again, which hopefully he doesn't, but he will be in that rotation. He's pretty talented, but I'm going to go with John Means first because Means looked really good in his first start, went 7 innings, which was really encouraging. He's on the Orioles. Garrett's on the Marlins. That matters. So I'll go Means first. I'll go Garrett as the second choice, the backup. And Scott, as talented as he is, again, I worry about how long he's going to stick with the big club right now.
All right, there you go. Thank you. And we got a super chat here. Thank you, Antoine, always with us.
Thank you.
Snell for Shota.
If you can get Shota for Snell right now, yeah, props to you. Do it. I'm not sure why somebody would give up basically the best pitcher right now in the National League for a guy who's hurt and been bad before he got hurt. But hey, name value carries some weight, doesn't it? Man, yes. If would I give up Snell to get Shota in half a heartbeat?
Okay, there you go. Go do it. And then, okay, we got our Tristram. What's up? As a resident Net fan, figured it was my job to inform you. 2 more James Wood home runs today. When's he getting called up?
So that's, you know what, that name, look, Tris, that name did pop to mind as soon as you say who's going to get the call next. I mean, who should get the call next is James Wood, but obviously they're not ready. I don't know. I guess they want to still squeeze as much out of Eddie Rosario as they can. I don't know. I'm like, what do we give? Mid-June until Nats fans start writing. And then, yeah, Wood should be the next guy up, but I can't promise that he will be.
All right, then Al saying loves the show. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. All right, Jonathan Terry has a trade question. So his question is, what's a feasible, like some feasible trades, like players you can trade away, players you can get. And here's his roster. I won't read the whole roster, but there's a starting pitchers. He said he needs saves and help at second base, third base, and shortstop. He's got Torres, Bogarts, who I think you actually like, Jung, and Tyler Black.
Yeah, man, that infield looked really good on draft day, but yeah, so Jung, it's going to be a little while. It's going to be probably a few more weeks till he's back. Torres, who knows? I did just talk about Bogarts. I think I'm going to keep Bogarts in the lineup for now. I hope he turns things around. I think he'll be okay. Torres, I mean, obviously you want an upgrade, but yeah, you can't just roll with that infield going forward because you're not getting enough out of it. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to hold Burns just no matter what. I think he's too valuable right now. I'm holding Burns. Really don't want to give up Kirby. You're going to have to give up somebody here. I was like, man, I don't want to give up. Honestly, your best move, I hate to say it, might be to try to sell on Skenes right now because I really love your first 3 pitchers. Actually, I love Cutter Crawford too. I like all your pitchers. You have good starting pitchers, so you know your strength. This is a 12-team league. Brian Wu, it's not a good time to sell because he's done nothing this year except for be hurt. So keep him. Cutter Crawford, as much as I like him, I mean, at some point, right, there's going to be some negative regression there. So I think the guys I would be dangling would be Crawford first. And if you don't get a really quality infielder in exchange for him, you might have to try to sell Skenes. Now, I'm assuming this is not a keeper league, keeper dynasty. If it is, then forget it. Skenes is off the table completely. But if it's just a redraft league, I would say this. You could probably, in exchange for Crawford, get somebody pretty good. It's going to depend on the right match there, right? So I'm trying to see who's somebody that would actually be worth getting that you could get. You know, actually, I wouldn't hate if you can probably swing maybe some sort of a 2-for-1, a package deal. I like Jordan Westburg because I don't think he's going to cost you too much. If you're going to do Skenes, you could try 2-for-1, get Westburg +1, somebody else who's a starter. Maybe a Michael Garcia type. If you're going to do just Cutter Crawford, you're probably going to need to only get one player in exchange. You're not going to get like a stud player. Maybe somebody thinks there's, you know what, Anthony Volpe. I think this might be a good time to try to get an Anthony Volpe. You could get him.
All right, there you go. There's some ideas for you, Jonathan. Thank you. Good luck. Hopefully you can pull off some trades. Let us know if you do. All right, Antoine again with another super chat. Thank you. Now he's saying, okay, is Cole for Shota, is that a harder sell than Snell?
Cole. I mean, it's tough with Cole because you know you're still not getting him for another couple of weeks at least. I mean, I'm really gonna say I'd rather have Shota for Cole second half of the season. I don't know about that. Yeah, I would much rather give up Snell. Much rather. Cole for Shota straight up right now. I think that would be hard to. Yeah, hard to do. In fact, whoever has Imanaga might not even go for that, honestly. But I don't know if they should or not. So I would go the Snell angle first.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Antoine. Okay, back-to-back, Nate. You lost Contreras at catcher, so out of these guys, who you like the best? Jansen, Wong, Herrera, Naylor, or are you trying to trade for a catcher?
No, I'm not trying to trade for a catcher unless I happen to have some sort of surplus at a position. But no, I'm almost never trading for a catcher. I also just lost Wilson Contreras. So here's what I did. I picked up Luis Campusano because somebody had dropped him. So I was grateful for that. Jansen, no, like I know he overachieved on his home run totals last year a little bit. He's still splitting time with Kirk, and he's not really picked it up this year. So Wong, I know, has been really good, but I'm afraid that he's due for an ice patch pretty soon. I think he's going to cool off. Herrera is the logical pickup here because he's replacing Contreras. So I think I would just go Herrera. Naylor should have more upside. Naylor should be the better offensive option here, but Naylor hasn't really picked it up. So I would say if you see signs of life from Naylor, he puts together some sort of a mini hot streak, or at least just starts to show some power, like hitting home runs. But man, he's been rough so far this year. So I would just go with Ivan Herrera for now. But if you notice, some sign of life out of Bo Naylor, then you can always just drop Herrera and pivot to him.
All right. Good luck with that. Ryan Looper has an open spot in his rotation, and he's wondering who to pick up to start on Friday. Definitely looking ahead. Alec Marsh versus the Angels, Clark Schmidt versus the Rays, or Andrew Abbott versus the Giants. If you had to pick one to start on Friday, who are your start?
I know the Angels look like a good matchup here, but Marsh isn't somebody who is super intriguing to me. The Angels have actually been scoring some runs lately, so I'll pass on that. The Rays have been.
My lifelong Angel friend sent me an interesting stat. He said in 109 at bats, Mike Trout had 13 RBIs this season, and then he said that whoever the guy was that replaced Mike Trout had like 6 RBIs in 5 at bats in one game or something.
Yeah. Actually, they got Kevin Pillar, who was on the White Sox, I think, this year or something. Yeah, guy, he's been around. Like, he's like one of those journeymen. Like, every year he's on a different team, and he's just kind of like that extra outfielder. And yeah, he came in the other day and he had like 2 home runs and 6 RBIs or something. It was like,
yeah. So basically, half of Trout's entire season worth of RBIs in one game. Anyways, thought that was fun.
Yeah, the Angels are like, man, it's like I don't want to say like disparaging riffraff. It's just like a bunch of guys, like their whole lineup are like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Like, oh, I didn't know they had him. It's like it's like everybody in their lineup. Clark Schmidt is fine. Rays have been pretty cold for the most part offensively, so I think Schmidt is solid. Abbott's a little riskier, but I like his matchup the best. So I would say tentatively right now, I would go with Abbott.
All right. Good luck with that. I hope it works out as a fellow streamer. Always hope it works out. All right, just real quick, we got some Skenes predictions. Captain Tricky saying he might go crazy. Brian Looper predicting 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 1 earned run. That would be a pretty good first outing, I think.
That looks actually very very reasonable. That's a reasonable prediction. Like, he could go crazy too. Who knows? I mean, that's one of those. He's one of those players now that even like casual fans or people who are like, oh, what game do I watch, or what, people will tune in just to see how he does, right? Just to see the debut. He's going to get that kind of hype.
Definitely. All right, Verlis, what's up? Welcome back. Jake Berger, is he worth a roster spot in a 12-team head-to-head 5x5 league?
Yeah, worth a roster spot. I'm not going to say must add because Marlins, but look, he was doing pretty well until right before he hit the IL. Wish the lineup around him was better, or at least even semi-good. But hey, Jazz is doing really well. He's picking it up lately. if nothing else, he should give you enough power that he's worth a roster spot. So yeah, I'm not going to drop anybody who's already starting for me to get him, but yeah, I think he's worth a roster spot.
And then Captain Tricky again, what's your suggestion on this? Sean Murphy is about to come back from IL, but I have Will Smith. So since you have Murphy and Smith, would you trade Murphy or hold both? What are you doing?
Yeah, actually, if you can trade Murphy, sure, I would do this because Will Smith obviously is the guy you want to just keep in there. And Smith, as far as all catchers go, he's going to be one of the catchers that gets sat and platoon the least. There's a lot of catchers get off days. Catchers are almost like timeshares on 2/3 of all the teams. He's one of the guys who will probably wind up with one of the higher at bat totals, which is very valuable. So yeah, you can flip Murphy. I mean, I don't know where you're getting from him right now since he's basically not played this season, but if somebody needs a catcher, hey, you know what you do? Look for the guy in your league who has Wilson Contreras, and right now, send him an offer. Hey, I got a starting catcher waiting for you.
There you go. Play chess, not checkers. All right, Zara Macho 1, is Jeffers for real?
Another catcher question. I love it. This is like when we get a bunch of like tight end questions for fantasy football. You're like,
yeah, right.
They're Jeffers, yeah. I mean, for real, like, is he a good hitter? Yes. Is he going to hit as well as he's hitting now the rest of the season? No. I mean, at some point he'll cool off. But look, Jeffers has always been a more of an offensive-minded catcher. And what you have to love seeing is not just that the Twins actually are scoring runs now, but Jeffers, has been either hitting leadoff or cleanup. And that right there, again, so valuable. So yeah, he's playing more times than he isn't. So is he for real? Yes. I'm going to say, I don't even know if this is a guy who's like a sell high. Again, maybe the Contreras owner, somebody who's desperate for a catcher or whatever, but I don't feel like he's still got that name value. I feel like he's still somebody that's largely ignored because you look at how he's doing and people are like, man, Ryan Jeffers, you know what I mean? So I would say just, yeah, keep starting him. And I think he'll keep it up for the most part.
I did have Jeffers. I dropped them. That's because I have South. So, somebody else. Wilson M., Grissom, Friedel, or DeLuca pick 2.
Well, I've been all over Grissom all preseason. He just came back. It'll take him some time to get into it, but I like Grissom still. Friedel, I think, is a strong ad. So I know DeLuca just had that monster game. I know he's put up numbers over the past week, but let's keep this in mind. First of all, Tampa Bay, playing time at some point will become an issue. It just will. And he's not really a high-end offensive prospect. If I recall, he's a little bit more known for his fielding. He's not going to be somebody who really stands out, I think, in terms of his power production. I was a little surprised at how he's done this past week, but I don't really expect it to last too long, honestly. So I'm going to go Grissom and Friedel.
All right, there you go. All right, Tristram with the super chat. Thank you. Let's keep the catcher talk going. Let's go. Catcher episode. We got a rookie, one of the best rookie prospect pitchers making their debut this week. And let's talk catchers. All right, what are the best catchers who might be available in super deep leagues we don't happen to be competing in together? Wink, wink, cough, cough. Because I'm not trying to be enabled. So just who are some deep catcher options that might be available?
Well, Tris, I respect the professional courtesy. I don't think you'll have to worry about this because in the leagues we're in, there's like nobody available on waivers, because that's how deep they are. I know Kyle McCann for Oakland. He's a part-time catcher too, but he's been hitting pretty well, and so he's someone who's going to be interesting now. He's getting a decent amount of playing time. He's splitting with Langoliers. A guy who is a catcher but not really a catcher is David Fry, because he doesn't ever play catcher these days, but he qualifies as a catcher. I've kind of picked him up and streamed him here and there. So he is pretty widely available for the most part. And I did notice, and I picked up in, I don't know if it's one of our leagues. One league, I just picked up Freddie Furman for the Royals because he all of a sudden is starting to get some playing time too. So that's encouraging because he hit pretty well last year when given the chance. Royals are one of those weird teams that they have 3 catchers who actually play semi-regularly because Sal Perez does DH quite a bit, to keep his legs intact. And then MJ Melendez is a catcher who doesn't really catch hardly ever because he plays left field. And then Furman is like the other catcher. So Furman is starting to pick up a little bit in playing time. Again, it's going to be annoying, but you're talking about a super deep league. There's not a catcher who is going to get regular at-bats that's available. The other guy, I would say, if Ivan Herrera is available, he's definitely the number 1 pick because now he's going to be an everyday catcher. And then Yasmani Grandal just got off the IL for Pittsburgh, and Henry Davis, RIP, fantasy hopes for this year, was finally optioned. So Grandal, even though he may be like way past his prime, he might still have like a little bit of life left.
All right, there are some options for you. Thank you, Tristan. Appreciate it. All right, back-to-back, Nate. Would you IL stash Sean Murphy if your starting catcher is Gabriel Moreno?
I don't know. Moreno's been disappointing. I know I have him starting one league, and I keep questioning whether I should just bench him and go with somebody else. I think right now I'd probably rather have Murphy in my lineup than Moreno, just because Moreno hasn't really done anything, like no power. And if the batting average is there, like what is he giving you? So I think I would rather start Murphy.
All right, go do it. Mo Jr., I'm not sure how you're going to feel about this one, but you have to drop one of these guys, Michael Busch or Xander Bogaerts.
Ooh, do you have to drop one? I'm guessing somebody's coming off the IL for you or what? Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would have said, man, what I would like to do, and maybe you still can do, is see if you can trade Michael Busch, because he's had a really good start to the season, and then he had a really bad week. And so, man, it would have been great, of course, now in retrospect, to trade him a week ago. Can't do that. He did just hit a home run last night, so maybe that's an encouraging sign. Man, I'm just going to blindly say, without knowing, the ins and outs of your league, and if these are just bench players for you, I guess I would drop Bogaerts, but try to trade Busch first if you can.
All right. Try to make that trade if you can. M. Perez, would you drop India or Grissom for Kobe Mayo or Aurelvis Martinez?
That's an interesting one. Because I'm assuming, obviously, you can't put these guys like in an NA spot, just kind of keep them stashed. Which is what, look, these days, I think the way it is, I'll just get on, just for like a second, get on the soapbox. Just like in fantasy football, fantasy baseball, every league should have multiple IL spots. You shouldn't have to drop guys just because they're hurt, right? And I mean a lot, like Chris, how often baseball players seem to get injured, right? You're shocked at how many injuries there are.
My team, but it seems to be happening less often. Maybe their bodies have acclimated to playing the grueling sports of baseball again.
He said with no hint of sarcasm. No, because there's one league I'm in. I have legitimately 8 injured players, and I only have 3 IL spots.
Ugh.
Anyways,
that's cool.
Thankfully we have deep benches. I think I'm gonna drop. Well, okay. I guess you're asking, should I? Like, would you drop either one for one? I think this is a time to stash at least one of those guys. I don't think I would drop both for both. I don't want two guys who are still laboring in the minors while I have two guys who are playing that I could be playing. I think right now I would drop India for Mayo.
All right. Do it. Thank you for the question. All right, Wilson, is Joe Adell for real? The Savant numbers look great, but the results have been shaky.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Adele a lot the last couple of weeks. I think he's mostly for real. Are we getting, what we ever hoped and dreamed of for Joe Adele? Not yet. Not yet. Might take some more time. Maybe it never happens, right? Maybe he's like, okay, fine. I'll stop trying to hit home runs and I'll just get like boring base hits. But I do think he's for real because, again, with a young batter, approach is everything. He's cutting down the strikeouts. He's actually not chasing as much. He's getting base hits that aren't just home runs. So, yeah, I think he's for real. And I think once that continues to evolve and he does get more comfortable at the plate, then I think the power will come too. And he is stealing bases. So that's good. Look, if you hit a home run, you can't steal a base. So if he's getting singles, then that adds to his stolen base total, right? So you're subtracting, one for the other here. But eventually, I think it'll happen. You got to remember too, he's been, because he's struggled so much at the major league level, he's been like a lot of these guys, yo-yoed up and down, right? Back to the minors, up in the majors, back to the minors. Once he actually gets a chance to play consistently for weeks on end, it will just get better, right? His confidence, his experience. And it's going to happen because the Angels really have no reason not to at this point.
All right, I'm going to answer this one from Zara Macho 1. Why did you replace the Orange Giants hat on the shelf? Well, I can tell you why. Pretty sure he has a hat for every single team, or at least like almost every single team. And since we were talking about Paul Skenes, got the Pirates hat up there. So the hat goes up for – so if you notice in the videos, I've started to notice this in the videos, if he's maybe the biggest player he's talking about is a Blue Jay, he'll have a Blue Jay hat. Or maybe he's talking about two Angels in this video. He's got an Angels hat. So, yeah, little Easter eggs there for you guys. All right, Godly Pinhead. Would you send out Volpe 1-for-1 in exchange for Bogarts?
I would rather have Volpe, if you're asking, and that's and I can tell, obviously, he's with us on all the live streams. You can tell I watched because I just talked about Xander Bogaerts, buy low. But buy low meaning somebody I value less than Bogaerts. I value Volpe more because I'm just that high on Volpe. So I would rather keep Volpe. Is Campusano better than Sean Murphy? I think, you know what? I think they'll wind up being pretty similar because I will say this, one thing you noticed last year, and I think will continue, especially with Murphy being hurt so long this year, he's going to split time with d'Arnaud. Campusano is one of the catchers who doesn't so far, and this is really his first full season as the catcher for the Padres, right? But he doesn't get sat as often. Now, I know this week he has, right? But look, Higashioka is just a defensive-minded player. I think Campusano winds up with just as good counting stats as Murphy. So I'm not going to say better, but I'll say probably pretty close to equal.
All right, there you go. Thank you. And now this is a question I am definitely interested in with Sal Perez as my catcher, and really has probably been my best hitter this year, sadly. Should I sell high on Sal Perez, or do you think he's going to finish as a top 3 catcher?
I don't. I mean, why can't he finish as a top 3 catcher? He's finished as a top 1 catcher before. I mean, this is not a guy who is not ever shown that he can do this. He's not going to match that season. He's not going to hit 50 home runs or anything, but sometimes when you got a good thing going, you just don't mess with it. And catcher is not a very easily replaceable position. I mean, if you're trading Sal, I don't know who else you have as catcher, but man, there's probably not more than 2 other catchers that I'd say, okay, well, I'm okay because I still have him. And I doubt you have Adley Rutschman, if you have Sal Perez or Will Smith or somebody. So I'm just going to keep Perez.
All right. Makes me feel better. I'm going to keep him too. All right. Brian Looper got an offer to trade Luis Castillo and Alexis Diaz for Suarez and Pete Fairbanks. He'd be getting Suarez and Fairbanks. Which side do you like?
I am going to keep Castillo and Diaz for sure. So this is where, look, Castillo, Suarez. Okay, Suarez has been really good. He's been great. He will not continue to be this good, like guaranteed. And we've seen, if anybody remembers from Suarez, we've seen him do this sort of thing before where he has a really good stretch. And then he starts to look more like just normal Hunter Suarez, right? Just solid, but not spectacular. So look, he's hats off. Guy's been amazing to start the season. But if you're going to ask me who is going to be better rest of the year, Castillo or Suarez, absolutely Castillo. Diaz and Fairbanks, I mean, go with the guy who doesn't have a repeated history of getting injured and hasn't been terrible so far this year. There's really no upgrade there whatsoever. You're basically trading away security in order to take on risk. So, no.
All right, then Godly Pinhead wants to know, are you still high on Crochet?
I am. He's a player I do have still in a couple leagues. He's in my rotation. I'm not benching him. I'm not dropping him. Still high.
All right. Ricardo, what's up? Good to see you. Always here. He's dropping Evan Carter. You can get Vinny P or Jazz.
Jazz is a free agent in your league. Wait, yes, I think you should try. How is Jazz Chisholm just like chilling on the waiver wire? Yes, go pick up Jazz Chisholm.
All right, there's your answer. Back-to-back Nate. Would you trade Shota for Matt Olson?
Ooh, now that is a great question. Matt Olson should be one of the best sluggers in the game. He hasn't been, but I just said I expect him to turn it around. I expect him to be really good rest of the season. But how do you trade one of the best pitchers? I mean, look, let's face it. He's been the best pitcher in the National League this year. I mean, he just has. Man, I don't think I do this just yet. This seems like it might wind up being a smart deal, but maybe it won't, because if Shota keeps even close to what he's doing up, I think you'd rather have that pitcher. So, yeah, I mean, unless you're like really stacked at pitcher, like just stacked, which you probably aren't because nobody is. So I probably don't. I probably just hold Shota.
All right. And then Emprez again. He's got Paul Skenes and Mitch Keller, and he needs his needs in other areas. Is Mitch Keller now dropped?
Yep. And again, I know I kind of screwed myself. I said Mitch Keller, somebody asked about him last week, and I was like, yeah, forget Mitch Keller. And then he went up and had like his best start of the season the next time out, but he'll still eventually look like Mitch Keller. So he's droppable. I think he's droppable.
All right. And then we do have to wind up here pretty soon because, again, we are going to do a fantasy football draft. Just following up saying Chisholm Jazz was dropped yesterday.
After he hit a home run?
Captain Tricky, this isn't a fancy question, but he just wants to know your general thoughts on umpires.
Well, I'll give you my take. It's a very clear, firm take. Get them out and get the robots in there. Robot umps right here, right now. And I don't mean just like a radar gun or like a little laser. Like I want an actual like cyborg, like a machine that's got like a square head and it's got the hat on and is wearing like just for fun, like wearing like one of those padded, chest protectors. And it tells you if it's a ball strike. I want an actual robot umpire at every base right now.
Oh, that's funny. Is there any sport where people are like, the referees or the umpires in this league are fantastic. They do a great. Like there's none, right? They're all terrible in every sport. Like it doesn't matter, right? Every sport, NBA, baseball, football. Like no, they're terrible. It's like no, they're terrible. They're terrible. It's like
well, here's the thing.
There must
though,
be a
like,
reason. There must be like something where sports feel like, hey, if we have refs that are like good but not great, it adds to the game or something. There must be a reason.
So I will say this: probably the hardest to referee. I will say this, and the hardest to call. And I don't even know if you could use anything electronic is NBA, right? Basketball, like whether it's a foul or not a foul. It's so subjective, right? It's hard. It's hard to call sometimes, and you can't really like the thought of having like the robot like run up and down the court and get in the middle of the players. Probably not a good idea. Somebody will definitely like break a leg. But in baseball, it's like there's a strike zone. It's like this. It's very obvious.
I can literally watch the game and know instantly if it was a strike or not.
Exactly. You play MLB The Show. You know if it's a ball or strike because there's that little rectangle. It's right there, and you can tell. Why do you need a human to do that job? You don't.
No, but it adds to the intrigue and the drama. All right.
Can I just say this too? Just another element that would add to it. Because then I think you allow the manager, like if they're upset at the call, even though the robot's always right because he knows the strike zone, they would be allowed one time per game to go out there and like kick dirt on the umpire just to get their frustration out, right? Because then the robot's like whatever, like he doesn't care. You know what I mean?
No one would get ejected because the robot has no emotions until we end up Terminator and the robot gets emotions, and then with its finger it lasers somebody to death. Like okay, and then baseball. Bryce Harper is dead. What? Oh my gosh!
Then it's like Cyberball, where it's like a whole different game.
All right, just to set up by Burdell's question, it's a runs, doubles, triples, homers, RBIs, stolen base, keeper league. He's okay punting steals.
Okay,
one of these guys has to go. Who's going?
Oh, someone's got to go. I'm going to just say bye to Josh Smith. I know he's been hitting pretty well so far, but not really a lot of power, especially you're looking for extra base hits beyond home runs, right? Doubles, triples. And look, I know it's going to be a little while longer, but Josh Young will come back eventually, take third base back. They're going to have some other players get healthy and come back. So Conforto at least has some power. Renhufo's been hitting pretty well. He qualifies multiple positions, and he steals bases. I know you're punting steals, but at least he does that. And I think Tauchman, until he loses playing time, like if Crow Armstrong will be regular everyday player the rest of the season, which maybe he should be, and then Suzuki comes back, and then maybe if he starts to lose ABs, then you can cut him. But for right now, it looks like he's fairly regular.
All right, then Ural wants to know he's regretting keeping Yordan Alvarez. He wished he'd kept Canelo Alvarez. Apparently, he's in a I don't know, a point per punch league. I don't know. Is Yordan Alvarez always cool to start?
I don't think Jordan's doing that bad. Look, if you want to somehow trade him to me in our different leagues that we're in, I'll take him. Like Yordan Alvarez is actually hitting better than you think. I know his batting average isn't great. Got 7 home runs, and he should be doing a lot better. He's gonna go on a heater. Like just watch the next week or so. You're gonna be glad you have Jordan.
Happily take a player with 7 home runs. My entire lineup is allergic to home runs. They just do not. I'm this close to naming my team Warning Track Tower because they just do not ever hit home runs. They are just a bunch of slappies. All right, James Coffey, in a Roto League, would you drop Nick Lodolo for Bobby Miller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If Bobby Miller, I'm shocked. Bobby Miller is just out there on waivers. If he is, pick him up. If you have an IL spot, you could stash him right now. And if you don't, I would still do this.
All right. Essential Vibes Entertainment. Are you dropping Garrett Braxton for Marcus Stroman?
Stroman it's been just okay this year. He usually gets off to a better start. He's one of those players who usually starts out strong and then kind of fades. He's been okay. I don't know if he'll really turn it around. I don't see a big difference right now. I'm not sure why you're dropping Garrett now that he just came back. Maybe you have to pick between these guys because he was on the IL. Honestly, I'd rather take a chance on Garrett. Maybe a little more upside here.
All right, and then I feel Brian's pain here. Should I get rid of Goldschmidt and Bregman? Are they ever going to come around? Like, yeah, Goldschmidt, he just sits on my bench going 0 for 4, 0 for 5 every day. Are they ever coming around?
It's been rough, especially if you have both of them. Yeah, that hurts. I mean, look, they're not going to probably bring back memories from like 5 years ago when they were like the top hitters in the game, but they've got to be better. I think they're going to come around. I did talk about Goldie on today's video.
Yep, buy low.
Bregman, I'm a little less convinced about. Just to be honest, I would say hold Goldie. Try to sell Bregman. I mean, he's got the name value, right? Somebody out there will be interested. I almost guarantee it.
All right, and then final comment, Zaramacho, Skenes is my baby daddy. All right, we'll see how he does. We'll see how he does on Saturday. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Appreciate the questions, appreciate the laughs, the comments. Appreciate you guys watching the videos. Don't forget, we've got Panic video out. So if you got guys like, well, Bregman wasn't on there, but I don't know who's on there. But some guys you should be maybe. I think Olsen was on there. Olsen was definitely on there. We got Buy Low. Buy Low just came out today. We had Beat the Breakout came out yesterday. I think we got Waiver Wire coming. 2-star streamers. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're going to want to do that. Don't forget, we'll be back here on Sunday to wrap up the week, get you ready for next week, answer all your questions again. And once again, if you haven't tried it yet, might as well go try out Underdog now. You can do some NFL drafts, but you can also do some baseball picks. There's still games tonight. If you want to go try it out, get your baseball picks in. Again, new sign up. They're going to give you there you go. They're going to give you a special pick, basically a free square, a free pick, and $250 bonus cash. So check that out, Underdog Fantasy. Just make sure you use promo code Endgame when you sign up to take advantage of those specials. All right. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Sunday.